Okay, so some of you may notice the 4430 is in the shop, and I think all my older subscribers know a little bit about that tractor. Oh, what the hell? I'm opening the doors here because I got a lot of things that need to be done. One of them is I got to get that oil cleaned up. Two, I got to check the air pressure in them tires. I got a tire pressure sensor fault, and I think I just got a low tire on the truck. As far as this tractor is concerned, engine-wise, it's fine. Hydraulic-wise, it's fine. I've done work to this thing in the past. New synchronizers. Needs new tires on the ass end of it, obviously, because it is, they're shot. That's why. The screen on this side is, a little bit beat up, but it's okay. Screen on this side is completely missing. I need to buy a new one. I believe I have a new pump in the front, but I had replaced the seal in the steering here, and it's a brand new seal in there, and the son of a bitch is leaking still. It's still leaking. So I have to figure that one out, figure out why in the hell that seal is leaking on that pillow block, or that, what do you call it there? So that's got to get doctored up and figured out. That's the reason I'm not using this tractor at all. I mean, this tractor will run just about everything I need it to run, but I'm going to go through and change the engine oil, figure that seal out, change these tires on the back end of it. I am putting radials on. A lot of guys are wondering why I put radials on these tractors, and because they're so expensive. Well, yeah, they are expensive. I'm going to put BKTs on it because they're a good cheap option. Usually good and cheap don't go together, but for this, it's a good cheap option. So I'm going to put radials on the back. Tires on the front are okay, just a little bit low. There is an issue with the one wheel. I'm thinking it's that one. Yes, I'm pretty sure it is this one. You can see it's kind of cocked inward. There's a bearing or seal out, or even the retainer for the axle stub there's something wrong with it. So what I'm going to do while I have this thing apart, because we don't use duals anymore, I'm going to actually knock these wheels, these hubs loose, pull that wheel out about 6 inches on either side, because if you know anything about narrow tractors, is they kind of tend to rock and roll across fields if they're really set wide. These are 20.8 38s. I'm not going to buy super expensive BKT tires. I'm just going to buy 8 plies. Because they're not doing any heavy tillage, they're just doing hay, I want to do an interior kit inside there, get it quieted down. Air conditioner does work. Everything works in it. Heat, air conditioner does work. The engine, this is like an insanely high horsepower engine in there, believe it or not. For what it is, it was an engine in my very first videos that I did on YouTube about 10 years ago. That was what I did. That engine had corked out on me, and I had a spare laying around, and so I put it in there, and that was some of the first videos. So yeah, I'm going to widen those out because I've always had a problem with this goddarn thing. These arms hitting in there, and I mean, there are springs, and we've had chains hold them together, but then it's another pain in the ass if you've got to deal with that. So there is a wheel seal there that is leaking, so that will have to be repaired. So the 4430 is going to get some love. Just a little bit of love, get her going, back up to where it should be. That's all bent up there. I should fix that. I did put a new roof on it a couple of years back, and then Timothy decided to rob the lights out of it, which I really wanted to kick his ass because of that, but I guess I had him put them back in. He took them for the 4450, but the lights and everything do work. But yeah, these tires, this was a spare tire. No, this tire here is old. I remember putting it on, and I wanted to put radials on it, but I couldn't afford them, so I put regular ones on, and we've only used this tractor for hay, and I guess I planted soybeans and corn with it, and it can still do that. I mean, really, honestly, it can. This here was bent a long time ago. I got that story I could tell you about. See these? See that? This rim should probably have been replaced, but yeah, I got a story about that too. Anyway, all right, I have to go load a load of hay, and that involves the 8120. I'll get back to you on what I'm doing today, because there are a few things that I'm doing today that involved driving. All right, so I figured this video isn't really too long, so I will tell you the stories about the bent fender and the hogged out rim. All right, so we'll start with the bent fender. This tractor was brand new back in 1977. My grandparents bought it new. I was in kindergarten. When it showed up at the farm, I didn't have to go to school that day. It was in the spring. It was in the spring of 77. So I didn't have to go to kindergarten that day. But I did get to go chisel plow with my grandmother. Yes, my grandmother. My dad didn't run it right away. My grandmother did. And I thought that was pretty friggin' awesome. Was it a chisel plow or was it a disc? I think it was a disc. No, it was a chisel plow. Definitely a chisel plow. So they hooked that thing up to the chisel plow and went right to work with it. And my grandmother worked like hell to get the first 100 hours on that tractor. But my dad was coming home with the tractor. I think we had the mower on behind it. I don't even remember what we had behind it, to be honest with you, because I was just a little kid. I was in kindergarten. What am I, 7 years old at that? 6 years old? 5, 6 years old at that time? So we're going down from Baptist-town on Route 519, and the wheel fell off. The wheel fell off of the cast iron hub, and that was pretty alarming. My dad came up against me, smashing my head into the glass, and I think that's what's wrong with me. But yeah, he was a pretty heavy guy, and bam! And I'll never forget. He rung my bell pretty hard. So that was that one. John Deere actually put a new rim on it for us because it had destroyed the rim. And, you know, when you're running these tractors, they had calcium in the tires, and it's a brand new tractor. You're not familiar with everything in it. And it was only a month or so old when this happened. I think we were mowing hay, to be honest with you. That's just what I think was what we were doing. And we came home, and I just remember that wheel rolling away, boom, down onto the cast hub. And then the tire the wheel, the whole thing full of calcium out into the yard of the Kingwood Horse Farm over there at Zubby's place. If you know anything about Kingwood, that's where we were. And it was destroyed. The tractor was, okay. So what my dad did was they jacked up the tractor, put the dual on, and drove it home with one wheel, the outer dual wheel on the outside of it. It looked really weird. And then the calcium-filled tire, about 4 guys got a hold of it and lifted it up, and then lifted it up so that they could roll it onto the truck. They got it on the truck, the pickup truck, and brought it home. So that's how that got home. Now, the other rim, the one that was all hogged out, and you could see where my dad had brazed it. I mean, we're talking a long time ago. I was in grade school, and that wheel loosened up. And my grandmother was brush hogging, so you know how noisy they are. Clunk, 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 brush hogging a farm that I still farm today. It was into the AC and CU acres through the Farm Service Agency. The government paid us not to farm it. That was like the beginnings of the Conservation Reserve Program. And you had to brush hog it at least once a year before you got paid. So we had a 6-foot brush hog. And we did hundreds of acres with a 6-foot brush hog. Talk about a shitty-ass job. But they were in a program, and that's what we did. And anyway, so that tire it had loosened up. It did not fall off, but she was coming through a fence row and slashed the tire and poked a hole through the tire with a rock. And me and my dad had to go get this tire home, or this tractor home, and I was young. I'm telling you, I was in maybe 7th or 8th grade, and I went down to help him with this thing. And for the life of me, I can't remember how we did this, but I do remember having the tire off of the tractor and then taking the rim off of the tractor, and then he brazed the lugs where the cleats on the casting grab it. He brazed that shut, and then we turned the rim around, put the tire, the tube, and put it all back together again, and drove the tractor home. And I've never taken that rim off of there. It's just a memory of mine, and now I'm sharing it with you so the world knows what had happened there. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video, and look forward to what I did yesterday. I didn't do any driving yesterday. Well, I did do the driving, but I didn't film it. But you're going to see what I went and picked up a little later tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Please comment, rate, and subscribe.